has been very good for the team and him as far as he set records and show everything he could do. But I was just wondering, is there an element of sacrifice to what he's doing as far as the way he runs and often between the tackles? I mean, is it kind of maybe it's not, but I don't know, the physical punishment he's taking. I mean, is it a sacrifice in some ways? And is it ever something you had to kind of discuss with him?
Yeah, it's something that you talk about before you do, you talk about during it, and always talk about it. But yeah, the more you get hit, of course, the more it's a sacrifice, and the more handoffs we give him, or the more passes he catches. He's going to take some hits, but Deebo's handled it well. He's one of the main reasons we're here, and I think it's one of the things that's given him the opportunity to be one of the best players in the NFL. So the more you do that, the more risk there is. But I think our team and Deebo are very happy how far it's taken us here so far.
Carl, you didn't mention the shoulder with Jimmy. Is that no longer an issue?
Um, I'm just reading what's on this injury report, so I'm sure it's pretty good. I hear about the thumb more than the shoulder, so that's off the injury report now. So I guess we're good.
Kyle, as you look back at the season thus far, what has been the biggest surprise to you about this team?
I think I don't know. I don't sit there and have a lot of foregone conclusion. Like I don't decide things before they happen. I try to live in the moment. And we just go as hard as we can. So I can't say I was surprised how we rebounded. You go expecting that, and that's why we try to stick the course. I think somehow the younger guys, the way they started out, what I've talked about earlier, guys like Ambry and stuff, and how much they've come up later in the year. He did surprise me with that. So I'd say that was one of the bigger ones, and especially how drastic of a jump he made. But yeah, not much else.
Kind of the other night after the game, you mentioned that one of the reasons you think your team is able to kind of fight back in adverse situations, you have a bunch of guys who love football, and you've talked about that before in the past. When you're trying to put the team together, what are the things you're looking for that help you identify what a guy who loves football looks like?
I think usually it's how they look on tape, just how they play. There's a certain style to it that you can tell the energy they play with, down in and down out. That they're not doing it because a coach asked them. They're not doing it to earn a scholarship. They're not doing it to try to make money and get in the NFL. They're doing it because they have a passion for it, and usually you can see that passion on film. Sometimes you can hear it from people and stuff, but you can also get fooled with that. The tape usually says it all, and I'd say that's where we start with.
Hey, Kyle, what are you seeing out of the pass rushes for both your defense and the Rams defense for how well they're playing this postseason?
I think we've done a real good job with it, and I think we've gotten stronger as the year's gone. And that we did a hell of a job versus them last game, which was huge for us, especially in that second half. Their pass rush, it's as good as it gets also. The individuals that they have, especially, it all starts with 99, who just the generational talent and what he attracts to have to give someone a chance to stop him, and you got to worry about that. But then you add in all the guys around him and some pretty good coverages with it. So usually the teams at this point in the year all have good pass rushes. I think it's pretty hard to get to this point when you don't have one. But I think we're two of the top.
Kyle, what's your communication been like this week with Trent Williams, and how is he feeling? And as a second part of that, week 18, when you had to turn to Colton McKivitz, how impressed were you with how he was able to step in first time suiting up for a game this season?
Same as, I haven't seen Trent yet today. I'll see him here in a little bit when we go out to the field. But, Trent's the same as he was that game. In Trent's mind, there's no way he's not playing. Now, that's why he was so crushed last game, because he believed he would, and his body wouldn't let him. So hopefully we'll have some better luck this game. But I know he believes he's playing, and so do I. So we'll see how that pans out as the week goes. If he can, he will. Just Colton was unbelievable that game. I was living in hope, thinking Trent was going to be able to go and finding that out pre-game and just going right up to Colton. Trent was sitting with me. And we're like, Colton, you ready? And just the look on his face, it was he looked ready, whatever that is. And Trent and I both laughed and were like, all right, we're good. And then he went out and played like that. And the other game that he played the year before was versus the Rams. He ended up having to start at guard for us when we went there the year before and got that win right before we went to Arizona. So Colton stepped it up huge, and we wouldn't be here right now if he didn't play the way he did in that game.
As far as Jimmy and some of the throws to the sideline on Saturday, how do you balance his desire to make plays in those instances versus being safe with the ball and sometimes maybe just throwing the ball away and taking the incompletion? And if that was an issue, did you discuss that with him after the game?
Oh, yeah, you discuss it that's what coaching is. Any play that's you don't think was the right play, you speak about it and you point it out. Sometimes they make unbelievable plays that you don't think was the right play, and you tell them great job doing it, but you also say, hey, if you keep doing this, it's eventually going to cost you. So that's just how you watch film and evaluate guys, and that's why Jimmy's fun to coach. He knows the answer before I get to him. He knows that he shouldn't have let that ball go. He had it early, but he couldn't. People were in the pocket, and then he tried to get it there late, which he knows that he was too aggressive on that play. But that's something you work with all those guys on, and it's going to happen at times. They're the quarterback, but they're the ones that are responsible for it, and sometimes the best play is a sack.
Kyle, you still hear some of your players talk about last year, the stay in Arizona in December, as like a unifying moment. The team could have been horrendous, and maybe there was a unifying thing about that. Do you remember your emotion, your reaction when you heard you were going to have to stay in Arizona for a month? And do you think it was something that kind of helped bind the team together and maybe still has effects this season?
I was very not in a good place when I found that out. It didn't make sense to me, and it took me a while to accept it, but I had no choice. But I do think it has effects on us this year. At the time, I didn't think it was the best bonding experience. I was afraid we were going to hate each other more because we were stuck in a hotel and couldn't get away from each other, and things weren't going that right with the season as it was. So it was just such a challenge, like mentally, physically, everything. That was a really tough month, which I think everyone will tell you about. And a lot of guys, it was hard on everyone, but some people it was a lot harder on than others. And I don't think anyone was in a great state there. And but looking back on it now, I feel like it helped us so much because I feel like just it hardened our team. It hardened so many individuals, and then which now coming back the year following, you realize the whole team was hardened in a good way to where, we made that run in the Super Bowl, where we started 8-0 and just had not many things went bad that Super Bowl year till the end of the Super Bowl. And I think everyone came back so fired up and thinking it was just going to be a fun year again. And it quickly turned out to not be. And then to end it with Arizona, it kind of reminded guys that, man, this isn't always that fun and this can be a challenge. And that's kind of what I think is good about it, because I don't think football ever has to be fun. It's what you're supposed to do. It's a challenge. And when you succeed in something and you can pull together and pull it off, that's what's fun. Kind of once you accomplish something and you can look back and just feel something and be proud of who you became and who your team became. But that doesn't mean it has to be fun. And if you're going to change when things get bad, then you're not going to be able to overcome anything. And I think looking at us when we were 3-5 this year and stuff, no one was having fun. It wasn't fun to come to work. It wasn't fun to deal with a lot of that stuff. But people didn't look at it like it had to be fun. We just had to focus on our job. We had to get better at what we're doing, and we still have time to do it. And man, it's a hell of a lot easier doing this here than being stuck in a hotel in Arizona. So I feel like that stuff hardens you and allows you just to be stronger, more battle tested. And I think that was individually. And when you get a bunch of strong individuals, then it does end up affecting the team.
Coach, my question for you is, how many times has Deebo actually, Stacey Dales with NFL Network, actually called a shot maybe that we don't know about with you? And how do you marvel at what he's doing outside the tackles as a running back right now? He's leading the league in yards per rush outside the tackles with 9 touchdowns outside the tackles.
I think Deebo right now is playing like one of the best players in the NFL. So just to be able to do what he's doing, he's obviously talented, but the will that he has, it's unbelievable. And I mean, Deebo is one of the most respectful players I've ever been around. I mean, he wants the ball because he believes he can change it at all times, but Deebo's not. I mean, I think what he said to me actually was, "Kyle, I got you," is what he said. I don't think, and if he's got me, I'm going to give him the ball. And that's kind of how Deebo's a very good person that our team loves, and he cares about everybody, and that's why he's fun to watch, because he does it the right way. He's aggressive in everything he does, but yet he's not out of control in anything, because that's who he is. He doesn't have to get himself real amped up for a game, which some people you see play with the physicality he does. I mean, they're borderline blacked out on game day. You can't even talk to them because they have to go to a certain level just to get there. And Deebo doesn't. It's who he is, and that's to me what allows him to play at such a physical level, but to do it at a higher level than most people do. And that's why he doesn't really call a shot much. He just inspires, and he inspires me, and he inspires our team, and that makes it a lot easier to call plays.
We'll do 3 more.
Kyle, when Jimmy Garoppolo throws an interception, you often say you'd prefer him to take a sack or throw the ball away. I can't think of many instances of him throwing the ball out of bounds in his career. Is that something you talk to him about, and is it something you would like him to do more of?
Yeah, I always want him when no one's open and there's not a good play there. What are your options? I mean, if there's a lane in the pocket, please scramble and pick up what you can, which I think he has done that a number of times. I think one of the hardest things with Jimmy is when people are covered, he believes he can just put the ball in the right spot, which he does a lot. That throw that he threw to Juwan Jennings on 3rd and 5, that we were hot. He didn't have time to throw that ball, and somehow he created it, which is one of the most talented throws I've ever seen. And Juwan ended up dropping it. That was unbelievable. Was it the best decision? It was, because it was right on the money, but that's the stuff that not many people can pull that off, and that is risky. So that's a fine line when you have someone as talented of a thrower as Jimmy, that he doesn't feel the same way always in the heat of the battle, that he can't make that throw. Now, when you watch it on tape and stuff, then he'll see it, but you're not thinking about that. And when you're playing a sport, you're just reacting. And those are the things that I try to put him in better situations. And sometimes when it doesn't go the right way, yeah, it's disappointing. But I can't tell you how many times that I don't think anyone's open and there is no play to be made, and we need to make one or the game's going to be over, and he finds a way to make it. And I'm not then saying, hey, don't do that. I'm thanking him for that. And so that's playing quarterback in this league. So it goes both ways.
It's obviously you guys and the Rams have played each other a ridiculous amount of times over the last few years. Is there an element of just, when you play a team 3 times and you guys know each other so well, is there an element of, not overthinking things or, trying to gain an edge, but, not getting away from what you normally do?
No, I believe so. I mean, just, each other so well. So it's, when, we hadn't played Dallas for a while, so it takes a little longer to get a feel for the tape, and whatever you watch, just as eventually you get through the week, you're going to feel different because you soak a team in more, and you can't do that in 1 or 2 days. It takes all week. But when you're going against a team like us going against the Rams, so them versus us, there's not much to soak in. We knew what the tape was going to look like before we turned it on, and they are the exact same way. So when you have something like that, I think it makes for a little bit more fun of a football game, because it's truly what it's about. It's just a football game, and everyone's going to go out there, and a lot's on the line. We're going to play as hard as we can. They're going to play as hard as we can, and going to see who makes the most plays and who makes the least mistakes.
Last one. Hi, Kyle. Nikki Javala with the Washington Post. What have you seen out of the Rams pass rush since they acquired Von Miller? How is he going to change that dynamic, and how is he even enhance kind of what Aaron Donald is doing?
I mean, they were so good without Von. So, I mean, I think, I think it was the first time we got to play him. I mean, it was hard to even take that in, because their rush was so good anyways. And then you add Von Miller, and, just watching him throughout the year, you can tell he keeps getting healthier. I know he was a little banged up when he came over from Denver, but you could tell he keeps getting healthier, is getting more comfortable. And, I mean, they got as good of a group as I've ever seen. And to add Von Miller with the people they already have, with their scheme and everything, everyone saw it last week versus Tampa, and that's usually how it's going to look. So hopefully you get him to play some other stuff, and we can make it a different type game, but that's what these guys are made for.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kyle. We're gonna go live. We have Hightower here for you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The other night, obviously, your unit was integral to the win. What kind of confidence did that give you, and how satisfying was that after a few weeks of it being a little bit tougher on you guys?
Well, anytime you have a chance to play for the NFC Championship, it's exciting. Obviously proud of the guys and what they did in that game. Coming out, basically, start with Jimmy Ward blocking that field goal before the half. That was outstanding effort by him, as well as Jordan Willis and Dante Johnson, and Deebo had some kickoff returns in there that helped us, along with Hasty. And I think the guys really feel good about that. I mean, Jordan Willis made maybe one of the biggest plays of his career, and I know a lot of the guys are saying it's one of the biggest plays in 49er playoff history. So I'm proud for him. I am excited for him. I'm excited that Huff had a chance to scoop and score it there, and having great awareness. And then Robbie and Pep and Mitch being in there with great operation, along with the protection to kick that game-winning field goal. So the guys did a nice job swinging momentum. They did a good job there. So they're fired up about it, and they should be. And we're looking forward to playing in the NFC Championship and be excited. So it's just a testament to their resilience. It's a testament to things that they've been through. You know, I tell them all the time, everything may not go the way you want it, but you got to keep pushing and keep fighting. And those are the type of guys that John and Kyle have here. I think it speaks to the character of the men that we have in our locker room. And we just don't want our season to end. So I hope that answers your question.
Coach, two things. Hindsight, obviously, you, of course, want Talanoa Hufanga to score the touchdown, but is the first rule taught just to cover the ball? And then also, a lot of players spoke about you giving you props after the game. How does that make you feel about your unit standing up and kind of giving your support?
Well, I think that it depends on the situation. To answer your first question with Huff, where the ball is, if it's blocked behind the line of scrimmage, if it's blocked beyond the line of scrimmage, you want to get away from it because if you touch it, then it becomes a live ball. Behind the line of scrimmage, you always want to scoop and score it. And then it just depends on the situation, how many guys are around you. If in a crowded area, you definitely want to jump on it if there are Packers around. But he was in a good situation there where he could scoop and score it, and he has great awareness, and he's a really great kid, and I'm just happy for that guy because he worked his tail off for that moment, and he deserves it. And what was your other question? Sorry, Jen.
Just a lot of your players spoke up about giving you props after the game and how you had a great game plan. What does that say about your unit and how they support you?
Well, I mean, it's really not about me. I mean, I appreciate that. It's really about the team and how we can help the team. And I have faith in the guys, and we have faith in each other, and I have confidence in them to be put in those situations and to make the plays when it's time to make those plays. But for me, I mean, it's not really about me. I mean, to me, I've always been a man of faith, and my grandma always told me, you know, he may not be excuse me, he may not come when you want him to, but he'll always come on time. So it's not about me. It's not about me at all. It's about the guys in the locker room, and I give all the glory to God. So
after the game, Jimmy Ward recognized Dante Johnson and Jordan Willis for his field goal block. He also says that was something that you picked up on and pointed out to him, the week before the game. What is it that you saw that you could exploit on that play?
Yeah, I mean, we just, like we do every week, Matt, it's really nothing that we've done differently than what we do every week. We always look at our opponent and see where we could have an advantage on them, and we thought on that particular play that we would have a good chance of getting pressure. And Jordan did a phenomenal job. He's 6'4", he has long arms. He went in there and pushed the guy back and got his hands up and made one of the greatest plays of his career. And I'm just hoping that we can do something special this week to help the team. So, I mean, we're just excited about playing the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I was going to say, Richard, I mean, it's great as you guys did on Saturday night. You got to do it all over again on Sunday. So how do you do it? What challenges to the Rams pose to your units? Yeah,
when I look at the Rams, I mean, they're a very, very good unit. We've played them twice, obviously. They have a really good returner, and Powell, he's outstanding. He's averaging over 15 yards a return right now. They're doing a good job of blocking for him on punt return. Johnny Hecker is a phenomenal punter. He does a really good job of limiting returns, so he's a challenge. He's been good for years. Matt Gay, their kicker, was the Pro Bowl representative this year. He's outstanding, and he does a great job on kickoffs. He does a great job on field goals. He does a great job limiting returns and making it tough for you. So we just have to do what we did last week and do what we do every week, and it's play technique and fundamentals and go out there and give our best effort and just be resilient and fight to the end. That's what this team is. That's what we all are fighters. So we'll just fight to the end, and hopefully ball bounces our way.
Richard, just wondering if the block punt was a result of a technique or a weakness or something you scouted during the week, or if it was just sort of a phenomenal effort by Willis. Just could you take us through the block punt, please?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. I mean, I think our coaches did a good job of looking at what they struggled with and what we thought would be our strength against what they do. And I think the players did a good job of showing disguises on a lot of different other returns, and we used it when we needed it. And Jordan executed the technique perfectly, just like he's supposed to do, and he got his long arms up there, and he blocked the kick, and the rest is history. You know, Huff scooped it, and I'm just so happy for those guys, and I'm happy that it happened for them because they worked so darn hard, and sometimes the results don't always show, but they never change. They come to work every day. I got so much respect for those men in the locker room. They come to work every day. They hold their head high. They try to bust their tail, and they try to make sure they give us the same effort every week. So I'm just happy for them.
Richard, you just used the phrase "we used it when we needed it." I assume that's similar to what you do when you put Deebo Samuel at kickoff return. What is the process for kind of figuring out when you want to deploy him in that role?
Yeah, I have to tip my hat to Coach Shanahan on that one. Coach Shanahan has a great feel for that stuff, and we go through it and talk through it together on the sideline, and throughout the week, and he lets us know when, hey, you can use Deebo. And Deebo is a team player. That dude loves football. And he told me before the game, he was like, I got you this game. And he really means it. I mean, he really means it. I still remember when he was in college and we went to the Senior Bowl and he would ride with me. A little quick story, he would ride with me to practice to do the return. He'd come with the specialist to do the return period because it started before practice. And he would go out there, and he obviously was a great kick returner, but he had never caught punts like on a consistent basis. And it just showed me he wanted to go out there and try to catch punts. I want to try to do anything, Coach. I'll do anything. And most guys won't do that if they don't want to embarrass themselves. But he's a tough son of a gun, and you obviously saw it on that play.
Two more.
Hey, Richard, just about Jordan Willis. Nick Bosa after the game mentioned it. He's a quieter guy and takes a little bit longer to get to know. And I know when he said a few words in the locker room after the game, the team went totally bananas. Can you, I don't know, just explain a little bit about his personality and maybe what kind of guy he is?
Yeah, Jordan Willis is a wonderful person. He's a quiet person, and I think Nick's 100% right on that. Nick Bosa has a great feel for our team and great feel for personalities. I think that's one of his other strengths, along with obviously his pass rush. But Jordan is really, really quiet, but Jordan's really cerebral. He'll send me a lot of notes on different things he sees on tape, or he'll ask very, very detailed questions. And that's why the locker room went crazy for him, because he's quiet and he never says much, but they respect the way he works and they respect what he is and what he represents. And I do too. And I'm glad he's on his football team.
Hey, Richard, checking in from ABC 13 in Houston. Heard you quote your grandmother earlier. Just want to ask you maybe what lessons, what memories you still carry with you from your time growing up in Aldine. I know it's still a special place for you.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the question, and I appreciate the question, especially from Houston. But it was a great time for me growing up there. You just learned so many lessons, and you're just fortunate to be around people like my grandmother who instilled like a lot of faith in me, and just taught me to keep pushing, you know. And I had a lot of coaches in that Aldine district. Coach Silla, Coach Gabriel in particular, they were my coaches, and they always talked about, you know, playing snap through whistle and putting something on tape you can be proud of. So that's all I try to do is emulate those guys, and hopefully I make my coaches proud, and this football team makes our coaches proud and the people from Houston proud, because I know we got a lot of 49er fans down there.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, everybody, we got Robbie here.
Hey, Robbie, can you kind of take us through the mechanics of a kick when the conditions are what they were? Do things change? Do things become more kind of amplified on just the less margin for error?
Well, I think going into the game, you have to figure out how the wind's blowing in each direction, how far the ball is falling left to right or right to left. And then as the game went on last week, you had to somehow figure out what the footing was. So we had scored the extra point, I think at like the 5:20 mark or something like that in the fourth quarter. So I'd known that it was going to be a little bit, I'll call it softer to plant, so I had to be a little bit lighter on my feet. But going into the last kick, when I went out there, I pushed down a bunch of the the ground to make sure that it was a little bit firmer. So as far as the mechanics are, it's just to be shorter on your steps, be softer on your plant, and trust that the ball is going to fall about a quarter post left or right.
Hey, Robbie, I know you guys have talked quite a bit about the fact that playing the Rams is pretty much business as usual. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, given that you know them so well. But is there anything special to seeing them in the postseason, given how rare that is?
Well, I think, the NFC West, first of all, is probably the best conference in football, right? I mean, there's 3 teams with over 10 double-digit wins. So every game for us when we go against them or the Cardinals or the Seahawks is obviously got some implication on whether you're going to make the playoffs or not. We've had a lot of very close games with these guys. We've had some lopsided games on both sides. So biggest thing is coming down to execution. It's coming down to the least penalized team, the least amount of turnovers. And at the end of the day, it's literally about playing our brand of football. And do you want to see them in the playoffs? Sure. Like, there's a lot of great teams, obviously, in the NFC, and I'm not shocked that they're in the NFC Championship by any means. And we're familiar with them. They're familiar with us, and it's going to be a great game.
Hey, Robbie, I'm going to take a shot. I'm not sure how much you're hanging out with the defensive linemen, but the reaction to Jordan Willis after he spoke briefly in the locker room, Nick Bosa mentioned he's a quieter guy. Do you have any insight on Jordan and his personality and why maybe there was that reaction? Obviously, the block punt helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jordan is a guy who is very quiet. He's very mild-mannered. So, when you're in the locker room, he's a man of few words. But it's been awesome to get to kind of know him since we got him last year on the roster. So to see what he's been able to do for us, not only in special teams but on defense, I'm happy for him because of everything he's gone through this season and how hard he works. And, hearing him say more than just a couple sentences in the locker room after the game, it shows you how much he cares about football. It shows you how much he prepares for any role that he's going to be thrown into. And obviously, as a reserve defensive lineman playing special teams here and there, those are details that you have to stay on top of and you have to spend more time doing it. And I'm happy for him because he's a guy who deserves it. And I love the fact that he's on our team. And, just his journey from the Jets to here is something that we're pretty lucky to have him. And to make a huge play like that for us, if he doesn't block it, who knows what would happen in that game.
Hi, Robbie. Similar question, but about Dante Johnson, who seems to have come through in the pinch for this team. And I know he obviously has dealt with some personal tragedy with his mother this year. What has that brought the team, the fact that he was able to be resilient through that? And what is he like in the locker room while he's delivering these key contributions?
Well, first I'll say Dante is the key utility player, whether it be on defense, playing nickel, playing safety, playing corner. For us as a PP and having that security blanket of somebody having the football acumen that he has to help our guys getting in the right protection schemes and understanding what they're trying to do to attack us. Dante's been a guy who I've known since I got here. He's been on and off the team a little bit throughout that time. He's never wavered for us. He's always coming and he'll always be prepared at any role that he has to have. And then to go through the personal tragedy of losing a family member, coming back to play and playing as well as he had. Obviously we don't want to see any of our teammates go through any of that, but I think those are the situations that you have as a team, the culture that's been built here, that as 49ers and as guys in the locker room, like there's a genuine love for each guy. I think there's a genuine appreciation for what they do, for what everyone goes through. We know that football, it's our jobs. It's not something that defines you, but it's something that pulls the locker room closer together. So I'm happy for Dante to see him going through what he went through and where he's at right now.
Got time for 2 more, guys?
Yes. Hi, Robbie. First of all, I'm not sure if you've seen all the videos around the world of people celebrating your field goals. So congratulations if you have. How does that make you feel? And how do you go back from such an epic game to, we say in Spanish, poner los pies en la tierra, so get grounded again to focus on your next game?
Well, I think the big thing for me is, I never try to get too high, I never try to get too low when I miss. So I think kicks like Saturday night's kick gives me more confidence. I think our operation has really come into form over the last couple weeks. I think, Tabor, like I said, on Saturday night has been doing an awesome job of getting laces to Mitch with great location. I feel like our rhythm is in probably the best form it's been all year. And then I think the big thing is knowing that game's over. When I got up Sunday morning, I talked to my wife and my kids for a little bit, and then, to some friends, and they're all asking me about the kick. And I said, guys, listen, it's awesome. But, at the end of the day, like, there's another game to be had on Sunday. And, if you win the one against Green Bay, but lose the one against the Rams because you're not focused, the one in Green Bay really doesn't matter because there's only one team that can be happy at the end of the year. So I'm excited to get back out there, practice. I feel like we're in a really great rhythm, and it'll be, I think, a big deal for us on special teams to go out and play well. And, game planning for that's been awesome to take away from some of the other noise.
Last one.
Hey, Robbie, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask you, this 49ers team over the last several years has always been on the cusp of achieving that goal once again and winning a championship. So can you talk to me about just the mentality of this team and especially about moving forward?
Yeah, I think it starts with ownership. There's a reason that so many teams around here have had an opportunity to play in NFC championships over the last 20 years or more. So I think having guys have been in this situation before in 2019, I think Jimmy's going into his 5th appearance in championship games. I think those are all opportunities for us that we know that you can't take for granted because you don't know how often they're going to come. And I think, the team's really hungry based on what had happened the last time we were in the Super Bowl, and we're back in a situation where we can make that. And I'll tell you, the thing I remember most from watching the game and hearing it was George Kittle said we're going to be back and back with a vengeance, right? So that's something that's always stuck in my mind since we lost to Kansas City. But I think even more importantly is, you got the perfect group of hungry guys from 19, but also some great additions from other places that have been through the same experience. So for us, we're excited. The guys are really focused. I feel like this is, and I know we're only in the first day of install, but just being around them, getting rehab and recovery, I feel like this is the most focused we've been all year. And I hope that continues throughout the week. And we're going against a really good football team in the Rams, and hopefully we'll have a sea of red down at SoFi, turned into Levi's South.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We're good. We're on.
Guys, we got Jimmy here for you.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. A couple of your teammates after the game on Saturday night mentioned the amount of the cleaner word used was crap that you take. And I was just wondering, do you have a strategy? I know some guys shut down all social media in the playoffs. Do you have a strategy for keeping yourself protected from that? I know that even if you don't look at things, sometimes friends will say something, your brothers, whatever. What's your strategy on handling the crap?
Well, yeah, I mean, friends, family, they'll always, they seem to remind me of those things. But I don't know, I think just knowing yourself and knowing who you are plays a big part of that. Because, if you get lost in it and start believing some of those things, it could take you down the wrong road. So, I don't know, I think it's just about knowing yourself as a player, as a person. And, as long as these guys in this locker room, have faith in me and belief in me, that's all I really care about.
Jimmy, how do you approach a week like this where you're so familiar with the opposition? Do you just try to go in to each week where you play the Rams with a blank slate, or how much carryover do you begin the week with?
Well, I think you always go back and watch the prior games. That's kind of where it starts, and then you kind of just take it from there. The games that they've played recently, you take into account. But there's a lot of football that they've played throughout this whole season, so you don't want to bog yourself down and be too overwhelmed with all the stuff. So I think there is a fine line of, you want to study the tape as well as you can, and I mean, we know these guys as well as possible, playing them for a third time now. Nothing will really surprise us, I wouldn't say.
Hey, Jimmy, kind of to tee off of that, do you get a sense in the pocket of, I guess, where Aaron Donald's coming from, what moves some of these guys like to do? How has the, I don't even want to say trash talk, but is there like a dialogue that's kind of gone over from game to game where you know these guys that closely?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whenever any division opponent, it's always like that. But, especially these guys, we know each other pretty well. Coaching staffs know each other. So, as far as maneuvering in the pocket, I think that kind of just happens naturally. You always have an awareness for where Aaron is pre-snap, but after that, it's really you're trying to read the defense and just react as the pocket, allows.
Jimmy, you guys after that Week 18 game made it clear how much you enjoyed having so much red in the stands. What does it actually do for you throughout the course of the game? And besides, potentially getting false starts and making the other team go silent count stuff, but just in terms of energy, what does it do for you guys?
Faithful, they travel tremendously. It's when you could get your fans behind you like that on a road game, and we knew it. I mean, before the game even started, there was a lot of red. You could see it. But once we started making plays and they started getting loud, it just changes the momentum of the game, I think. And you could feel it on the sideline. It's not something that you could really put your finger on and you can't see specifically, but you could feel it, you could hear it, and that's our team responds well to that. So hopefully the faithful will be out there loud and proud, and I know they're trying.
Jimmy, in the last game against the Rams, when Trent couldn't play and Colton McKivitz played and he hadn't played all year, obviously he performed admirably, but initially were you like unsure of how that was going to go? I mean, was there some trepidation from you or just the offense about what might happen?
You have an awareness for that stuff, obviously, especially as a quarterback, just knowing who's on your blind side. But Colton came in and did a hell of a job. We like all the guys, we have faith in whoever comes in. Unfortunately, Trent couldn't go, but it's just kind of the team that we have. Whoever has to be in there, you have faith in them. You learn that through practice and being around these guys every day. You just know the kind of person they are. So when that happened, it wasn't, I won't even say it was panic mode. It was just, all right, next guy's up. How do we approach this? What do we have to do? And you just take it from there. It's you don't want to make it too much bigger than it already is.
Jimmy, you mentioned the other night that you felt you guys were in control of the game the entire time and that there was a calm. Is that a feeling that you guys have in every game? Is that why you've been able to win all of these games and deal with such adversity?
I wouldn't say you feel it in every game. Every game's different. So the feel of it, the flow of it. Last time we played the Rams when we were down 17-3, didn't feel like we were in control of that one. So I think each one has its own flavor to it, but you could feel it. It's kind of like the momentum thing I was talking about. You can't really put your finger on it. There's no statistic for it, but there's a feel to it during the game, and I think the coaches and players, especially the guys on the field, have a feel for that, and you kind of get into a rhythm of it as the game goes.
Also, in regards to feel, Kyle was talking about sometimes a sack is the best play. How do you find the balance between maybe taking a sack and then trying to make a play, a big one, and obviously sometimes there's an interception, but where's that balance?
It just comes with being a quarterback, I guess. You kind of learn as you develop as a quarterback, just that, what time of the game is it, what's the score, everything that's going on. You're always, keeping track of these things in your mind. And, the game in Green Bay is obviously a little different than some other games, just dealing with the weather and things like that. So you're taking a lot into account. I know I just listed a lot of things there, but that's just the job of a quarterback.
kind of along the same lines of what Jennifer was asking, I can't think of many instances of you throwing the ball out of bounds, which is often like the conservative play. And I asked Kyle Shanahan about it, and he said, well, your aggressiveness is one of your best qualities. What is your philosophy about throwing the ball away?
When it's necessary, you got to. I think each play, first, second, third down, I think all that takes into consideration. But the Dallas game, we had to do it a couple times, I can remember. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have to throw it away, you want to take a chance to a certain degree. But I don't know. That's the fine line. Some of those amazing plays that people make, some of those should have been throwaways, but they decided to try and make a play. So there's a balance there.
Hey, Jimmy, whether it be Robbie punting in Week 18 or what Jordan Willis did, or countless other contributions, it seems like you guys are getting just really clutch pinch hit appearances. if you could take a baseball analogy, going back to your days with the Patriots, I know you guys won a couple titles there. Have you ever seen anything like this team wide, where guys that seemingly people haven't heard of the week before are stepping up and getting the job done in the absolute clutch?
On a consistent basis like this, not really, to be honest. Every postseason that I've been paying close attention to over the past years, there's always somebody who you won't expect to make the play, and whether it's our team, another team, it's just something that I've noticed over the years, and it's when guys could do that, because you already have your A players and they need to play like A players, but when someone else can step up in those key moments and do something like Jordan this past week, I mean, what he did was incredible, and played a huge part in winning that game for us. So when you could have guys do that, that's what makes for a good team, man. That's what makes you tough to beat.
Last one.
Hey, Jimmy, you get the ball out at an extraordinarily quick rate against this Rams front. How much of that is by Kyle's design? How much of that is you feeling the pocket? I mean, it's like 2 seconds and it's gone. And just describe what that pocket feels like against this front.
I mean, there's some plays where it feels tight and some plays where it feels normal. It just depends what they're trying to do up front, I think. But I think there's a balance of it. Kyle is aggressive in nature, so our game plan usually dictates that a little bit. But as the game goes, you just got to feel the pocket, and you never want to go into the game saying I have to throw it, in 2 seconds. I have to throw it in 3 seconds. But it's more of a feel thing. As the game goes, you get a feel talking to the O-line on the sideline, how they're feeling about it, all that stuff, and it all is played into consideration. But just if you get the ball out, it makes everyone's job easier.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, Tess.
All right, we have Fred here for you.
Yeah, Fred, after the Green Bay game, Jimmy Ward was talking about the concept of finishing and how Kyle has made such a big deal about that. And he referred back to the Chiefs game and thinking that was a game we didn't finish. And you guys have been pretty good at finishing this year. I'm wondering what, it can be pass rush, it can be the running game. What to you is finishing a game? It's kind of a concept more than it is a specific thing.
To me, it means winning. But yeah, I mean, I think our style of football is on both sides of the ball, or all three phases, I should say. The concept of wanting to run the ball well, on defense, closing it out with the marrying up the pass rush with the coverage in the back end. And there was times in the season where we didn't close. Early on in the season, you saw how the Green Bay game went in Week 3 compared to how it went last week. So it's for sure been something that we've gotten better at throughout the year. It takes everyone. It takes everyone being dialed in for a full 4 quarters, and we're going to need the same thing this week.
Fred, you just mentioned the phrase your style of football. You look around the league, and a lot of teams that are still playing have a very different style than what you guys have. Why do you believe your style works so well for you guys?
I think just I think on offense we run the ball really well, which is something that you need in January, February football, and
on defense, stopping the run. I think, it's such a pass-heavy league, but, at the same time, teams still want to get the run game going to open up things in the back end. And, I think if we lean on those two things on both sides, I think that's kind of like what our core is, I would say.
Right, in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo, the numbers from the 2 playoff games haven't been what they were during the regular season. And I know you've talked about, his leadership and some of the intangible stuff, but just what is it about him behind the scenes that maybe you can elaborate on that allows you to maintain trust in him, even if that, the production might not be what it was in the regular season?
Well, I mean, we're able to maintain trust in him because we keep winning. Like anytime you're like a quarterback is it's the number one. Like if you went down the list of the order of importance at positions on the team, like quarterback's number one. It's very, very heavy. A team's success is very heavily dependent on the quarterback position. So the fact that we're winning games is not just a surprise. Like Jimmy is playing great football, and it's a team game. Like it's not just all heavily dependent upon if Jimmy does well, we're gonna win. Like no, he does exactly what we need him to, and he comes into work every single day and is the exact same person. Like he's not the one. He's not on social media looking at what everybody's tweeting about him. Like who knows what he does outside of the building? I don't know, but I know as soon as he comes inside this building, he's literally the same exact person every day, no matter what. So I think that's what we all kind of respect the most is he just always comes to work. And is always trying to get better.
Fred, a lot of people have talked about how resilient you guys are. What is it about this locker room? How does that resilience develop? I mean, not every roster can go through what you've been through, like staying in Arizona, the Super Bowl in 2019. How does that build and how does that develop on a roster?
Well, I think it starts with guys already having like the right character to begin with, bringing the right people in. I've talked about it. I think we have a group of guys, not to say that other teams don't, but we all genuinely love football and are constantly trying to find ways to get better at our craft. No matter if we're down or if we're up, we're always locked in at the task at hand. And you build resiliency through going through hard things. And we've gone through just about as hard of a season as you can imagine. And the fact that we're still, we're one of 4 teams still in it, I think just speaks true to that. And we're everybody's peaking right at the right time, and that's what the season's about. That's what football's about. Is you got to make sure you're playing at your best when your best is needed. And so we're going to need everybody's best come Sunday.
Got time for 3 more guys.
Fred, building off, Jennifer mentioned Arizona last year. Kyle just talked passionately about what that might mean, bonding this team and how things aren't always easy. They aren't always fun in football. Do you feel like it was something that is carried over? And what was it like? What were those days like stuck in your hotel room? I mean, what did you do all those days?
It was that entire season as a whole was very unique. Starting with that first game in Levi's, 0 fans. We lose a tough one to Arizona, the Cardinals in game 1. And then throughout the year dealing with the whole COVID protocols and not having fans all year long. And then getting, moved over to Arizona for the remaining part of our season. And yeah, I mean, you do grow a lot closer, going through something like that. And I'll always remember that season, for a lot of reasons. But I for sure think that has helped build the team, build our team that we have now and make us closer. But yeah, back then you had no choice but to just to love football and love what you do because there was nothing else.
Hey, Fred, not setting you up for more bulletin board material here, but it's a legitimate question. Kyle, after you guys first beat the Rams in November, he said we want to make the game as physical as possible. And George said before you beat the Rams last time, we want to make the game against them as physical as possible. Obviously, that's the idea, I would imagine, going into most NFL games. But is there something about the Rams that makes you guys want to play, kind of turn it into a backyard brawl?
I'm going to give you something juicy right here. Get ready. No. Listen, we want to be physical every game. It doesn't matter who we're playing. That's back to when we were referring to what is our team built on, and that I think that's you see it on tape every week, and that's just the type of guys we have, and that's how we play every week.
Last one, guys.
Fred, you guys it's a ton until that last third down at Green Bay. I wonder what it's been like for you and for D'Amico this year to kind of figure out when to trust, what you guys do well versus when to maybe be selectively aggressive and blitz.
That's solely on D'Amico, and he has been just tremendous. The way that he's called games, especially in this late part of the season, I mean, it's unreal. Like I see it unfold before my eyes. Obviously, being out there running the plays and receiving them, giving them out, and you build so much trust in a coach when in tough moments, like in clutch moments and tight games like that, and sometimes you gotta take chances, and when it turns out, like you build so much confidence in your coach, you want to play that much harder for him.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.